Millions of people visit Mount Rushmore every year. They take photos of the giant stone faces, walk through the memorial, and leave without realizing something hidden lies inside the mountain itself. Behind Abraham Lincoln's head, deep inside Mount Rushmore, there is a secret chamber most visitors never see. A hidden room carved directly into solid granite, and it was originally meant to hold something extraordinary. This is the story of the secret room hidden inside Mount Rushmore, a hidden chamber connected to one of America's most famous landmarks. A project filled with ambition, mystery, engineering challenges, and unfinished dreams. To understand why the hidden chamber exists, you first have to understand Mount Rushmore itself. The monument stands in the Black Hills of South Dakota. Construction began in 1927 under sculptor Gutzon Borglum. Borglum was not thinking small. He wanted Mount Rushmore to become one of the greatest monuments in the world. Not just giant sculptures carved into stone, but a permanent symbol of American history and identity. The monument eventually focused on four presidents: George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Abraham Lincoln, and Theodore Roosevelt. Each figure represented a different chapter of American history. Washington symbolized the birth of the nation. Jefferson represented expansion and democracy. Lincoln symbolized unity during the Civil War. And Roosevelt reflected industrial growth and America's rise as a world power. The project itself was enormous. Workers blasted and drilled through granite high above the ground. Explosives removed huge sections of rock. Men hung from ropes and platforms while shaping the mountain. The work was dangerous, difficult, and unlike almost anything attempted before in American construction. But the strangest part of Mount Rushmore was not what visitors could see. It was what Borglum wanted hidden inside the mountain. Borglum did not want Mount Rushmore to be only a sculpture. He wanted it to become a permanent message to the future. He imagined a massive hidden chamber carved deep into the granite behind Abraham Lincoln's head. He called it the Hall of Records. The chamber was supposed to become a historical archive inside the mountain itself. Visitors would climb a grand staircase leading into the hidden room. Inside there would be documents, displays, and explanations about American history. Borglum imagined important records connected to the United States being preserved there: the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, historical texts explaining the meaning of the monument. He worried about something unusual. What if future civilizations discovered Mount Rushmore thousands of years later, but had no idea who the presidents were or why the monument existed? The Hall of Records was meant to answer those questions. It was designed as a message to the future, and during the 1930s, construction on the hidden chamber actually began. Workers drilled a tunnel directly into the granite behind Lincoln's head, while hanging high above the mountain on ropes and platforms. The project slowly pushed deeper into the rock. At first, Borglum's vision seemed possible, but soon problems appeared. The granite was difficult to carve. The location was extremely hard to access. The project was expensive, and many officials believed the priority should be finishing the presidential faces themselves. They argued that visitors cared more about completing the monument than building a hidden room most people would never even see. Then another problem changed everything: money. The United States was struggling through the Great Depression. Funding became increasingly limited. Eventually, federal officials ordered Borglum to stop work on the Hall of Records and focus only on finishing the visible monument. The hidden chamber project was largely abandoned, but the tunnel remained, a partially carved passage hidden deep inside Mount Rushmore. Then, in 1941, Gutzon Borglum died before the monument was fully completed. Soon afterward, construction on Mount Rushmore officially ended. The giant staircase was never built. The massive historical chamber Borglum imagined never became reality, and over time, the hidden tunnel faded into mystery. For decades, millions of visitors stood beneath Mount Rushmore without realizing a hidden chamber existed inside the mountain itself. Some people eventually treated it like a conspiracy theory. Others imagined secret government bunkers or hidden treasure. But the real story was actually more fascinating. The chamber existed because one man wanted Mount Rushmore to become more than a monument. He wanted it to preserve America's story forever. Then, decades later, the story changed again. In the 1990s, officials decided to partially fulfill Borglum's original vision. A small repository was placed inside the hidden chamber behind Lincoln's head. Inside the repository are porcelain panels containing information about Mount Rushmore, Borglum's vision, the monument's history, and the meaning behind the presidential carvings. The goal was to leave behind information for future generations, a kind of historical time capsule hidden inside the mountain. The chamber is not a luxury secret room like something from a movie, and it is not open to the public because reaching it is difficult and potentially dangerous. But its existence still surprises many Americans, because hidden behind one of the most famous monuments in the world is a chamber most visitors never even know exists. What makes the Hall of Records especially interesting is what it represented. Borglum believed monuments should preserve history itself, not just through art, but through explanation and memory. He worried that, without context, future people might see Mount Rushmore and completely misunderstand it. So, the hidden chamber became part of a much larger idea, a permanent archive carved into stone, a message left behind for the future. In many ways, the Hall of Records reflected Borglum's larger personality and ambition. He thought big, very big. Mount Rushmore itself was already one of the most ambitious sculpture projects in American history. But Borglum wanted something even greater. He wanted the mountain to become a historical archive hidden inside the monument itself. And although the original dream was never fully completed, part of that vision survives today behind Lincoln's head. The story of Mount Rushmore also carries deeper historical complexity. The monument stands in the Black Hills, land that is sacred to the Lakota Sioux. The area has long been connected to conflict and controversy involving Native American history and U.S. expansion. Today, conversations about Mount Rushmore often include debates about memory, identity, history, and whose stories are represented in public monuments. That complexity makes the Hall of Records even more interesting. The hidden chamber was meant to preserve one version of American history inside the mountain itself, a permanent message carved into stone for future generations. What makes the story especially haunting is how hidden the chamber remained for so long. Millions of people looked at Mount Rushmore without realizing there was a tunnel hidden behind the faces, a secret passage carved directly into the granite. And because the room was inaccessible to the public, mystery naturally grew around it. People imagined hidden treasures, secret government operations, conspiracy theories. But the real story was about ambition, history, and legacy. A sculptor wanted to build something that could speak across centuries. And deep inside Mount Rushmore, part of that unfinished dream still remains. Today, tourists continue standing beneath the giant stone faces, taking photos of one of America's most famous landmarks. Most never realize that behind Abraham Lincoln's head lies a hidden chamber carved deep into the mountain, a chamber created during the Great Depression, a project interrupted by money problems and the death of its creator, and a hidden space designed to preserve the story of America itself. The secret room inside Mount Rushmore is not just a hidden tunnel, it is a reminder of how ambitious people wanted the monument to be. A reminder that even America's most famous landmarks can still contain secrets most people never notice. And it leaves behind an interesting question. Thousands of years from now, if future civilizations discover Mount Rushmore, what will they think America was trying to say? If you want more hidden American history they never taught in school, subscribe for the next story.